What's going on, friends? As we talked about last week, things are changing in the performance market. They're changing rapidly and they're changing in a big way. Now, I did mention that there was kind of a silver lining to this, and as promised, I'm going to share that with you this week. The silver lining is that basically the government, the EPA, everybody's wanting us to go green. They're pushing recycling really hard. Now, the good thing about recycling and going green is that we got a way to do this, and the way that we're going to do this just made all those old used parts that you have just that much more valuable. Guys, last week we looked at what's changing in the performance market with basically all new exhaust systems are going to have catalyzers in them, and obviously the new tuners, we're not allowed to basically mess with the air-fuel ratios. We can't change those to be non-EPA compliant, put some more fuel in the bike, and cool it down. Now, when it comes to the newer stuff like the Milwaukee 8, does it cut the horsepower down a little bit? Does the bike run, I guess, a little bit hotter? It does. But the thing with the new stuff, the Milwaukee 8s, these were basically designed to run on this stuff. Is it great for them? In my opinion, not really. Can they handle it? Absolutely. That's why they put more fins, bigger fins on the cylinders, oil coolers, twin cooling. All these things are made to handle that. But what about the older motorcycles? Is it good for a twin cam to run like that? Absolutely not. As we found out in 2007 going forward, any EPA compliant tune on a twin cam motorcycle basically runs them just stupid hot. And then if you have those catalyzers on there, the bikes are almost unbearable to ride, as many as you guys know when it comes to the touring bikes, and they had those catalyzers up by your feet and they basically burn your leg off. But here's the thing when it comes to the old parts. Guys, please don't forget, if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. Old parts are going to become very, very popular. We're going to start recycling more. We're going to start reusing old parts. Basically, I know many of you have been to some of these older, like independent shops that where you open the front door and you are greeted with just a plethora of parts scattered all over the floor, and there's only a little trail leading up to basically the counter. Those are going to be your new gold mine to find what you need for your motorcycle. Because if you have an older bike, a lot of times, most of the exhaust systems for those bikes have already been discontinued, so you are generally going there anyhow. But not so much when it comes to the twin cam models, and one of the good things is that basically any year, parts fit a plethora of years across a wide span when it comes to Harley-Davidson. Now the good thing is there's plenty of parts out there that are used. This is going to be swap meets and everything else. But here's the thing when it comes to tuners. I know a lot of you guys are thinking, man, all these tuners are locked. They marry to the VIN numbers on these bikes. Yes, they do. I don't know if you guys remember, but years ago on eBay, you could buy a unlocked super tuner. Basically, some really computer savvy guys went in, they were able to basically modify the software on those and actually erase the VIN numbers on them to where they could be reused on another motorcycle. Is that maybe going to come back? I definitely hope so. It's going to be a little tricky to sell it because I know eBay and some of the other places where you can go online to buy these, basically big websites, they kind of cracked down on that because it wasn't exactly legal to sell anymore. But since it's between private parties, we might be able to skirt that a little bit. Not only that, you're going to be able to find shops that actually have dynos, dyno tuners. Basically, they're going to have the Power Visions, and as you guys remember, the Power Visions were licensable across many different motorcycles. And when it came to shops and tuning, those right there is what everybody used. And because they could buy it, they could buy a license. Basically, when you went in to get your bike tuned, you had to buy a license because they would tune it for you with another license on that bike. Hopefully, that'll continue for a while. Guys, not all is lost, especially even with fuel injection and tuners. The other thing is carburetors. Now, a lot of you guys are really, really handy with a carburetor. And as we all know, you don't have to have a jet kit to actually modify a carburetor. Only thing you got to do is know a few little tricks and be able to change some jets out. You can dial in a carburetor for the exhaust system and the air cleaner setup that you have. Even in the exhaust market, it does look pretty bleak. The big manufacturers like Reinhardt, Bassani, Vance & Hines, they're all selling catalyzed exhaust systems now for these newer bikes. Is that going to hurt the horsepower on them? It's going to be a little bit, but I don't believe it's anything that you're going to feel. The only place you'd really see that is on a dyno. Now, the silver lining in that is that catalyzers, they do increase the torque on the motorcycles. But once again, this really isn't the best thing for the older bikes, especially like twin cams, Sportster Evos. They don't like catalyzers and they don't like running lean. I don't see anybody going out and buying a $1,500 exhaust system because, as I mentioned last week, the price on the exhaust systems has gone up with these new catalyzers in them, so I don't particularly see somebody taking one of those, cutting it apart to remove the catalyzer. Now, if you do have to buy an exhaust system for a later model twin cam, a 96 or a 103 that's fuel injected, yes, it's going to be expensive. It will have a cat in there, but it is a high flow cat. And the good thing about the high flow cats is they don't hold back basically as much heat as the factory catalyzers did. The other thing we got going for us there is they haven't really come down on the noise yet. By not coming down on the noise just yet with these exhaust systems, they're still pretty good and free flowing other than the high flow catalytic converter in there, but they don't have all that packing, they don't have all the baffles in there, so they're not really holding back as much heat like the factory exhaust did. Now, if they do come after the noise and start cracking down on that, I hate to say it, but the only exhaust system you're going to get out there, it isn't going to be a whole lot different than Screaming Eagle. They're going to have baffles, they're going to have all that stuff in there, the diverters, everything to kill the noise, and basically what exhaust manufacturers are going to have to go after is just trying to get a good deep bass rumble, like what Harley-Davidson does, spending a ton of money in their big giant sound chamber, trying to make the absolute best sound they can out of basically a muffled, chambered, baffled, catalyzed exhaust system. Is it ideal? No, but it's better than stock, it's better than nothing. Now, even if our exhaust systems, they take the noise out of them and we're not allowed to have that anymore, there is another silver lining in that, and that is the fact that, yeah, they're not loud, yeah, they're not the way we used to have them, but the horsepower may drop a little bit. Is that something you're going to notice significantly? Not necessarily. You might. You would really show up on a dyno, but on the flip side of that, even having the catalyzers and these stepped exhaust systems, the torque numbers are going to go way up. So instead of chasing horsepower, we're really going to be chasing those torque numbers and getting as much horsepower as we can in the process. That, I hope, doesn't happen for a very long time when they come after the noise level on the exhaust, even aftermarket exhaust systems. Yes, the catalyzers, that's not a step in the direction we like, but it kind of is what it is. But looking out there, Two Brothers, Rush, some of the smaller companies that a lot of people really don't think about, they are still offering uncatalyzed exhaust systems. If you're looking at getting an exhaust system new for your Harley-Davidson motorcycle, now is probably the time to do it. Because I guarantee in the coming years, even these smaller manufacturers, you're not going to be able to get anything from them without a catalyzer. So guys, performance on your Harley-Davidson isn't dead. On your newer bike, it's going to cost a little more, and we're going to have to do things a little different. It's just got to be reimagined. But when it comes to the older bikes, we're just going to have to get back to the way that we used to do things if we're not able to buy parts brand new off the internet. We're going to have to get back to the swap meets. We're going to have to get back into the little independent shops. We're going to have to ask around. We're actually going to have to talk to each other and not be on our phones all the time. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It's going to be a little trickier to find parts because you're not going to be able to get a few mouse clicks and have it delivered to your door unless you're on eBay. But guys, let me know in the comments, where are you going to source your parts? Are you going to go to swap meets? Are you going to check out your indie dealers? Are you going to ask around? Are you going to shop eBay? Let me know in the comments what some of your tips and tricks are for sourcing some of the older parts that we may not be able to get new in the future because they're just not able to manufacture them anymore. But yeah, guys, that's all I've got for you this week. If you guys enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. But till next week, guys, you stay safe on the streets, ride smart, dodge those cars, and I'll catch you guys back here next week with a brand new video. Thanks for watching.